Guys? The Bench Buddies are back, and today we'll be doing the 80 through 61 best players in the MLB going into 2022, and we'll just get right into it here. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, as we'll be doing a huge giveaway at 500 subscribers. I know it's far away, but help us get there. 80th, we have Yuli Gurriel. He had a great season last year, hitting 319 AL best average. On base percentage, is kind of a little lower than I thought it would be, for having a big average like that. But his OPS backed it up for him. He played 143 games. The home run numbers weren't really there, especially playing in Houston. But 81 RBIs. Obviously, he had a big lineup, hit a lot of guys in. And I just think he was a very key piece to the Astros' success last year. But losing Correa is going to help him, evolve as a player, I think, because they're going to depend on him more. The RBI numbers might take a tick down this year, but I think the home run numbers and everything else, besides average, probably will go up as well. 79th, we have another Astro in Michael Brantley. Another great average, hitting 311 last year. His home run numbers were also down as well. Only 47 RBIs. 121 games. If he can play north of 140, 150 games, that's going to be huge for the Astros. The 2.5 WAR obviously shows that he's a pretty solid player. They need him in the lineup every day. And, I said last guy about Gurriel, they need Brantley to step it up as they lose Correa. So definitely going to be an interesting year for the Astros. 78th, we got Francisco Lindor, a down year for sure last year. But still, that WAR was at 3.1. Average of 230, very bad. On base percentage, though, made up for it. He got on base a lot. And then he hit 20 home runs, 63 RBIs, 10 stolen bases in 125 games. The Mets are title favorites this year. They're up there. And they need Lindor to play at least 150 to, I think, really be a competitive ball team this year. Because, when he's one of your best players, pay him a lot of money, you need him out there. 77th, we got Freddie Peralta. Great pitcher last year, immediately came out of nowhere. Almost a 4 WAR, ERA under 300, almost 200 Ks, and that's just saying something right there. But he does need to get his walk numbers down. I think that is what limits him. If he can hold back on walks, he's just going to be an even better pitcher and move up in the rankings. Chris Taylor, one of my favorite underrated players in the league. I mean, you see it right there. MLB Network has him 95th. I have him 76th. And, he's a very utility guy, hitting 254, which is not the best, but his on-base percentage is almost 100 points more. And, he's doing things to get on base, help that Dodgers lineup, an even more stacked Dodger lineup this year. He's just going to be a name that's going to be forgotten about, but he's going to be super productive. 75th, we got Sandy Alcantara. I think he can have another breakout year and improve on what he had last year. He's the Marlins ace right now, averaging almost a strikeout per innings pitched, and his Ks to walk rate is 4, so he's probably averaging about 1 walk a game. 33 games started. They need that consistency again. The Marlins aren't a playoff team by far, but if they can have a very productive year in that NL East, we have the Braves and the Phillies and the Mets, but I think it's going to be the Marlins playing for 4th place. 74th, we got Jake Cronenworth, a very solid player. Out of Michigan, my favorite school to root for. 266 average, 340 on base, OPS of 800, and he really stepped in last year when Tatis went down. He was the big factor which kept them afloat all year, and unfortunately, he didn't make the playoffs last year, but you see that 6.5 WAR since 2020, third among second basemen, and he's just immediately stepped in, proved he belongs, and I expect another big year out of him this year. 73rd, we got Kyle Schwarber. I love this signing by the Phillies. Not only do they bolster their roster to help Bryce Harper out, they also add Castellanos as well to make it a solid back-to-back-to-back punch of, scary hitters. And, you see that 137 home runs since 2017, most among left fielders. And you don't want to pitch this guy. I mean, he hit 32 home runs last year in 113 games. He was injured for some of the season. And, he plays all these games. I think he's sitting around a 40, 45 home run season. Definitely a great signing by the Phillies, as, they're going to have to start pitching to Bryce as well. 72, we got Stanton. a down year. He was projected to have a down year last year. Injury concerns, all this and that. And what did he do? He came out and absolutely proved himself in 140 games, 35 home runs, almost 100 RBIs. And of course, his OPS is very high. But the 95.1 average exit velo, let's just say I wouldn't be wanting to play in third if Stanton hit a liner right at me. That's going to be pretty scary. But you got to give Stanton some credit here. He started to pick up where he was back in Miami. And I think if he has another year like this, the Yankees are going to be very happy out of a great year from Stanton. 71, we got Kevin Gausman. Great signing from Toronto. Really bolsters their pitching staff. Add Barrios, Ryu, Gausman now. That's a solid 1, 2, 3 right there. And Alek Manoah. He's a solid rotation arm as well. But Gausman last year really played well in a contract year. 2.81 ERA with the Giants. He was one of the big reasons why the Giants had a huge year last year. Obviously, a WAR of 5.3, 227 Ks. It's a lot of strikeouts, and his Ks to walk ratio was 4.5. So probably around one walk, if that, a game. In 33 games started. Once again, a very consistent player. Didn't get injured last year, and I think the Blue Jays are going to be happy if they can get just a season like this or even a little less. 70th, we got Yasmani Grandal. I think he was a little high on MLB Network's ranking, but the walks to strikeout is obviously insane. You see down below 87 walks to 82 strikeouts. And he just loves to get on base. That average, when people look at average, I think it's one of the most overrated stats in the league. I love on base percentage. And 420, obviously he's getting on base almost every other time. And in baseball, it's about getting on base rather than, doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters if you get there. And 93 games last year, he had 23 home runs, 62 RBIs. They just need him for about 130, 140 games. Give him some off days now and then. If they can get that out of him, I think the Sox are going to be looking pretty good this year. Because last year, they had a lot of injuries, still won the division. They don't have any injuries this year, or very minimal. I think the Sox are going to be a very dangerous team. 69, we got Randy Rosarina. Great player for the Rays, AL Rookie of the Year. And one thing I like about this kid is he's aggressive. He is not afraid to make a play. And in MLB now, I think everyone's kind of coasted back on that. And he's just out there doing his thing, stealing home in the postseason, making diving catches. The Rays got something special here. They got something building. They pulled off a great trade a few years ago with the Cardinals. And the Rays, with Rosarina in the outfield, they're going to be very solid. They just dealt Meadows to the Tigers. So that opens some more opportunities for those in the outfield. And Rosarina isn't really too affected from that trade, but, just another place where they can put him. 68th, we got Whit Merrifield. I'm very high on this guy. MLB Network had him at 96. I have him at 68 here. 40 stolen bases, a WAR of 3.5, average 277, and 10 home runs. It's not the best, but he makes up for it on the base paths. Played every single game last year, which is very rare nowadays. And I really think he's going to be the key to the Royals, and especially tutoring Bobby Witt Jr. as well. Merrifield's a great guy to mentor, and nothing really to complain about with Whit Merrifield. 67th, we got one of my favorite former Tigers and JD Martinez. 42 doubles last year, tied for the most in the MLB, almost 100 RBIs, 28 home runs. Same season this year. The Red Sox are going to be happy. They added Story as well. Lost Schwarber, but Story makes up for that in the most part. And JD just is going to obliterate some baseballs this year because they're going to have to keep pitching to all these guys. So nothing they can avoid now. 66, Katel Marte, the only player for the Diamondbacks here, but it's well-deserved. He's a great player, hitting 318 last year, 909 OPS in only 90 games. And 150 games, it seems like this whole video is just about consistency and getting players out there. That's the case for Katel Marte. He's a great player, young kid. If he can step it up, play 150 games, he's going to have another great year. 65, we got Javi Baez, the only Tiger as well on this list. My Tigers, got to represent. But Baez, I'm liking this signing. I'm glad they signed him for 6 year, 140 million. It's a very underrated signing. We didn't go for the best instead of Correa. We got a solid guy that we locked up for at least 5 years. And if he can get his strikeout numbers down, boost that on base percentage around 350, maybe the average up to 280, it's a very successful season. Tigers are going to be a scary team to watch this year. Give the White Sox run for their money, in my very biased opinion. But Baez is a great player, flashy on defense. Need to cut down his errors a little bit, but that's what you pay the price for it when you make flashy plays. And it's a great signing for the Tigers with who needed a much needed shortstop. 64th got Trevor Story, the new Red Sox. Great signing here. I didn't think he was going to be done. I didn't know where he was going in Boston. I saw it, kind of surprised me. But then again, I'm like, wow, this infield is really good. Great hitting team. And they're just going to absolutely obliterate baseballs over the Green Monster. Trevor Story, he's going to benefit from playing in a smaller park, you could say. Coors Field, obviously a lot more home runs because of the elevation. But when the Green Monster's 310 and left, and you can hit a pretty high ball, it's getting out. So Story, I think those home run numbers are going to be around 30. RBIs will probably go up as well with more people on base compared to what he had to deal with in Colorado. And I think the stolen base numbers are a very underrated number for Trevor Story. No one really talks about his stolen bases. They all talk about his home runs and his pop. And he's a great signing for the Red Sox. A great fit as well. 63, we got Oscar Hernandez. Came out of nowhere last year and still is kind of an underrated player in the MLB, especially on that Blue Jays roster as well. Everyone's talking about Bichette and Guerrero. Everyone forgets about Hernandez. An average of 296, OPS of 870, 32 home runs, 116 RBI, so almost an RBI every game, it feels like. And, if they can get another season out of him, the Blue Jays are a very scary team this year. 62, we got Pete Alonso, a great player for the Mets. Great first baseman as well, but he has the most home runs since 2019 with 106, 37 last year, 94 RBIs, and 152 games played. And what I said about Lindor needs to happen again with Pete Alonso. He did just tweak something last night in the first game of opening day, but he should be fine. Pete Alonso, great player coming in here at 62. And for the last one of the video at 61, we got JT Rio Multo. 134 games, need to get that up to 150. More production out of the catcher. And on-base percentage of 343 is a big number, especially coming out of that catcher spot. The 16.7 fielding WAR and 262 RBI since 2018 is absolutely astronomical, especially for a catcher. You get all that production out of your catcher, it's going to be a great season for you guys. And normally the teams with the best catchers have successful years. But that's going to be it for the video today. If you like to hit that like button down below, comment what you think where some players should be. But until next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.